Come on, you guys can dance if you want.
Yeah. Little beat.
Hello, one more episode of Manada Podcast. My name is Wagner. I'm here with the Latin American Solidarity Century. Welcome, guys. Introduce yourself.
Thank you.
Very happy to have you guys on Saturday in a summer time in Ireland. It means a lot. You guys could be walking on the sun, but I don't know how's the weather there, anyways.
Here it's pretty warm there. Yeah, sweaty weather.
Nice, guys. So I already know you, man, from our last podcast, like the hip hop movement, etc. And now I see you now involved in the Latin American Solidarity Century. Talk more about that. So, what you guys are looking for with that project? What's the goal?
So the Latin American Solidarity Centre was started up by Irish volunteers in 1996, I think so. The goal was to work with the Mexican community and to kind of connect Ireland to the Latin American community. But in recent years, there's a lot of Latin Americans. It's a growing population as well. So the organisation now has a different kind of community that we need to reach and engage with, because obviously the Latin American community as well need help, just as the Latin American community in Ireland do. And their goal is especially with the documentary, is to highlight all the different people, and it's going to be shown in Salas in a conference, Salas conference in Mexico in September. So we're really looking forward to it. We have some amazing individuals. So yeah, that's what Jorge's been doing the interviews. I unfortunately can't speak good Spanish, but you can talk a little bit more about that if you want.
Sure. Well, that's for
No, it's English.
Okay. Well, we've been developing this documentary lately because we had the chance and the opportunity. And actually, today we just interviewed Gigi, who's here. Wayne, which is the one helping us, did all the camera stuff and all that. And also Michael here. So the project is actually about, daily stuff and daily lives, regular stuff that is happening in Ireland for the Latin American community. So you might see, in this documentary, from people that just is studying, learning English, to people that is a little bit more involved also with the community, or some other spheres like the academic or political spheres also, So that's also to get to know more about LASC, but also the community that is based in Ireland from Latin America, because most of the time people might think that most people just come here to learn English, but the thing is that we have a lot of people getting involved in the different stuff, at the same time, and it's happening all over Ireland, not only Dublin. So we had also some interviews with Mexican community that is based in Cork. We actually had a few weeks. One of the events was held in Cork, actually, with the Latin American woman involved. Also, right now in past August, we had a workshop where we were speaking also about the last organization with the LGBTQI plus community, the Latin American LGBTQI plus community too. And we'll be doing also this with the artists. There's a lot of artists, Latin American artists based in Dublin. So that was, I believe, a couple months ago that we had that event also. So we were trying, not only to get to know more about the community, but also the needs about the community and how we can support them through LASC, and how can we also that point of contact, be like that umbrella organization that is uniting, all the people and everything, So that's basically what we do.
Yeah, that's very important. The whoever, when you move to a new country, you feel like, oh, I'm here by myself. I have all my native, my family there. And then once you find a community which are everyone in the same space, you feel more comfortable and home to act creatively and start doing their things. Because a lot of people, I'm sure, coming from Latin America here in Europe, they're very talented, not only by arts but a lot of things, but they don't have that opportunity to, you know, to show themselves. And I imagine a group like you guys will encourage those people to get together, you know.
Yeah, definitely. Like Gisele can tell you a little bit about her story because she's an artist as well. She's a fellow artist and she talks a lot about different kind of feminine aspects and also talking about theatrics. But she has many different kind of ideas of what she does herself. Would you like to talk?
Yeah, thank you so much for the interview. Yes, we are doing with the Latin American Solidarity Center the documentary, and they just made me an interview right now, and it's amazing to share this information, to connect with other people, to uh, divulgate these type of stories about what is happening
Yeah,
with the immigrants, Latin Americans, what we are doing here in Dublin, what have been doing our experience living in another country or forward. Um, of course, you can find a different. So this can be difficult the past, but it will be it's amazing something to connect with others, like in this community of Latin American Solidarity Center that right now we're sharing about our stories, being artists, for example. I am a poet, so connect with other artists like Michael that he do rap, and you also that you do videographers and these types of things.
most,
Like tell with stories to others and share this information. It's part of the solidarity, I think,
yeah.
that we're trying to build in this moment.
How do you guys have any kind of talk? You know, recently we see a lot of groups protesting immigration thing. You know, some people are against, some people are in favor.
Yeah.
How does the Latin community? We know there are a lot of racism against different type of countries. You know, we recently saw in Dublin Indian guy attacked by someone.
Mhm.
Uh, there's always something going on happening. You think it's just violence? Is there something related to immigration?
See, the
And
thing is, see, sorry, sorry
oh
for
yes,
cutting you
please,
off.
please, please. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
as you know yourself, I use a lot of like my politics through my music. Over the years, I've been involved in many political campaigns, and I can see that because I'm Irish, I can see from also being with an outsider's perspective, looking at people from different countries and different cultures. So I understand from an Irish perspective, but I also understand from an immigration perspective because people travel all over the world. People
Yeah,
have different cultures, different ideas, and I think it's a melting pot of many different things that are not being solved, or there's like no solution in the end. It's like people are constantly fighting with each other, but they're not sitting down and talking to each other civilly. They're like, oh, I don't like your opinion, so I'm gonna do something to you. Or they're like on the other side, I don't like your opinion, so I'm gonna do something to you. So it's a
yeah,
constant battle. And because Dublin, like the rest of the world, many cities kind of have that kind of where everything kind of clashes. It's usually like a city atmosphere where things kind of clash.
yeah,
I would say it's very similar in Guatemala and Honduras, where there's like clashes in the major cities.
Yeah, I will say also like you said, it's kind of like look, I believe we have really alike societies between Latin America and um, Ireland, and we went through some similar wars, similar issues. Like I speak for myself in the case of Guatemala, we also have some occupied territory by the British, but we also have to face not only the 500 years of resistance of the indigenous people, but also after that, it's been almost 200 years of the imperialism that we're fighting back from the U.S. The U.S. and the West, basically, the EU also has a lot of guilt in this. So I believe, it was happening. It's so interesting for me to see from this perspective, and I understand some of the Irish people here also, and that's because when the peace accords were signed, there was not really a representation of the population. It
Right.
wasn't done through democratic process. It was mainly some admin stuff that was signed between, again, the U.S. and Ireland, the U.S. and Guatemala with the guerrillas and with all the military groups also that were perpetrating the Mayan genocide. So it's kind of like the same, we see those parallelisms between both societies. And what we see today is actually just one of the repercussions of what happened there. So we have not healed as society. So that still remains. And then came, what they call globalization, which is technology, different type of jobs and whatever. Um, Tell the people just to keep going, but that's not the end. In Guatemala, we keep finding mass graves, same as here in Ireland. Just recent months ago, they found a mass grave with children. So we see all these things happening. So for us, it's very like shocking to see how history repeats itself. And unfortunately, like you asked, all of this is just a little bit of context, to understand this, because the question was about the demonstrations of the far right. Is it the far right? Is it the working class? Is it what is it? So it makes you wonder about why a country that is one of that is on the top 10 of the richest countries in the world is still facing these kind of issues. And the answer, I believe, is simple, is because the people, the working class people, has not found the solidarity among the other migrants, and they were thought to see the people as a threat, but we're not. Uh, what we need to build is this class solidarity, because we're facing the same issues:
To-
housing, minimum wages, um, legislation, job legislation, and all that stuff. So seems like we're at the same level, but information is um, maliciously delivered to the people or hidden most of the times when it comes to the migration process and system. You will see that there's also different types of migration, you see, because most Latin American people in Ireland, I will say they come to learn English through these academies that are a complete rip-off actually for them also, and take advantage of them most of the times. But also at the same time, we have the people that comes through the asylum seeking process, which is different process that is there also. And what is funny is that most people don't know how both system works. And at the end, people is facing the same issues, you know, to get a job, to get minimum wage that is enough to get to the end of the month. So they're living paycheck to paycheck every month. And we do get not only the migrants, but also the Irish people on a paycheck to paycheck job is where all these issues happen. And the clashes, as you might mention before, are very clear, and people is more easy also to be manipulated by the narratives that are imposed on people. So from last, what we try to do is look, see this. First of all, recognize each other as peers, equals,
yeah,
and then from therefore
yeah,
trying to fight for all the social injustice that we're facing hand to hand, shoulder to shoulder, because at
yeah.
the end it's something that matters for both groups. Yeah.
Yeah, I totally connect to what you're saying. I think at the end of the day, it's this human being ego. They always want to see someone in a different point of view, like they are superiors just because you came from this or that place. I see. You know what happens? Brazilians sometimes they complain about that when they are living in Europe or the States or Japan, etc. they feel like, oh, they see us uh, as they are superior, and we are, we are in a low level, blah blah blah. We do that. Brazilians do that with people who comes to Brazil, people from Bolivia, or even from Angola. They go to Brazil as well to find a better life. And I see some classes of Brazilians that think they are superiors, and they see those people as someone inferior. Oh, they're Bolivia, whatever. But if it was from Switzerland, they would be like, oh, these guys are, not these guys deserve my attention. So this is, I don't think that it's a lot of education, man. To change people's mindset. To one day they start to look with everyone in the same level. I don't think humans are prepared to live like that now, but we try our best.
What do you think, Gwen?
I don't know, like it's a tough one. I think in Ireland it's like this. Huh?
It's very, very tough.
No, it's a tough one, but it's just like obviously the immigration crisis thing at the moment is just they're letting like I'd say like there was a time there when loads of Polish were coming, they're coming legally, they come to work, they integrate. There was no real issue. Yeah, I'm sure there was people kind of saying, jobs thing there, but there was enough work to go around. And then obviously, there was a surge of, let's say, Brazilians coming in. In my perspective, I'm sure obviously different community there.
Yeah.
Same thing, they were integrating, they were working, getting along. Obviously now there's like just masses of, unvetted immigrants coming in. And I'm sure like, majority of people are good people, that's what it is, but like with the housing situation going on and everything there, it's just not helping the people in the country in a sense. But I don't know, like I don't know, they need to just slow down on it and just build more houses, make something more affordable. But it's just they're just screwing the people really at the moment.
Definitely. See, the thing is as well is that, like you were saying there, that there is like there's bad things in every sort of society and every sort of factor. It's like saying that, oh, the Irish guy is nice, but then there's going to be loads of people that are really bad, or it's going to be like, oh, this person's really nice, but just based on like his culture or his ethnicity or whatever. That's not the way that the world works. Like there's bad people in every sort of factor in society, and I think we don't realise that as human beings. It's like the point the finger and blame. Say something happens, like, oh, the Brazilian guy done something to someone. Oh, all the Brazilians are like that. It's kind of like that. Or the Irish guy goes and says something. It's like, oh, all the Irish guys are like that. It's like people are like using a singular event to blame
Yeah,
a whole community, and then that's where the kind of unrest and uneasiness happens.
yeah,
Like, and the thing is that it starts to highlight the likes of the Nationalist Party, the likes of Conor McGregor spouting a lot of stuff. I mean, he's done a lot of stuff that is kind of helped Ireland to a prosperous level in terms of the UFC, the MMA. All young kids are inspired to go and do it. But on the other side of it, like, he's promoting what we see as Irish people around, where it's kind of the lads that go around bullying people, starting on people. Like, it's a very kind of road that we shouldn't be going down. But that's it. It's like the integration of different cultures is very hard to work sometimes, because obviously we have different kind of things that don't translate very well in some, and some see, and it's just the understanding part. The understanding part is where we're getting lost, like, and the confusion.
I think there exists a lot of discrimination outside, but also there are people that are nice. You can find a good people. But
uh,
it's very difficult to find in, like, me as a migrant woman. It's difficult for me, like, sometimes to be in outside, because you can find discrimination. Also, when you see they are convocating to manifest against immigrants, like Irish for Ireland or Ireland for Irish, I think, sorry for that.
Yeah,
It's like that type of thing to make you feel in personal, make me feel it's a discourse of hate there, and we are all immigrants,
that's
different
right.
situations. That doesn't matter, because we're trying to to help to the development of the country, at least in my personal needs. I want to contribute in the development of the society, and I am doing that. And but sometimes it's difficult, like when you see the hate or the discrimination that is happening outside, I already feel it. And you see in the news also right now, like a lot of people from India are getting a lot of attacks. That make you feel like there is something happening. The violence is growing different. So it's a problem that needs to be solved. Of course, there is also a housing crisis that I think it needs to be solved. But how is gonna this work? How you're gonna solve these social problems if you are not integrating that society
Gotcha.
to work in these politics publics to get a better solution?
Yeah. Is the government watching that situation, or it's like
As you know, many
they
governments across the world are very corrupt, and Brazil is not. Like Brazil has like a corrupt government as well. Ireland has a very corrupt government as well. Like that's what people don't realize when they say like. I remember hearing from many people, "Oh, it's so easy being Irish," but like then you start to realize it's like it's not that easy. It's like it's the same as everywhere else. I grew up in a neighborhood where there was like violence, discrimination, all sorts of things based on like the way you look, the way your appearance is, the way you act, the way you talk. If you put yourself on a CV, they won't give you a job. Like a lot of that stuff happens as well, and that's what people don't realize is that like in a lot of situations where someone turned around and said to me, I got really, really angry about this because it was a situation where when I started developing the group, the Irish Latin Exchange, trying to help Latin Americans, trying to be as much involved as possible, hearing from the side of my ex-partner of all the different things that were happening to her in Ireland, how they were getting kicked out, they had no rights, blah, blah, blah. And then I met a person from Brazil that was like, oh, all white people are privileged. You should be like trying to help us. And I was like, I'm trying to help. And I'm like, why are you judging based on my skin color? And I told her where it was. I told her what I do. I told her what I'm trying to plan to do and help the community. I said, this is the life that I came from. And then she was going around and telling all her friends from Latin America, all my friends from Latin America, oh, I don't trust white people. White people are all the same. It reminds me of like a mini Christopher Columbus. And I was really, really upset about that. And I just think it's the understanding part. Like she grew up in a really wealthy neighborhood. I found out she grew up in a really wealthy neighborhood in Brazil, and she used the fact that she's from Brazil to say, "Oh, we had it worse than you." And I was like, I grew up in a wet neighborhood that was like full of gangs, full of drugs, full of everything. And you criticize me and what you see on the news that all Irish people are privileged like the rest of the world. It's like we grew up in really tough neighborhoods. We didn't grow up in wealth. I don't know where this perception is that they think that all Irish people are wealthy. Like I'm broke as a joke, like anyone else. Like it's crazy. Like it is. It's crazy.
No, you're right there. Like it's good and bad parts everywhere.
Yeah.
Like it's saying Ireland's like super wealthy, but I think that's just on paper.
That's just on paper.
No, it's not actually the case. You know what I mean? I think most people are living below the standard of living. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
maybe a few areas in Brazil can be very tough in terms of uh, like nothing to eat. Like
Yeah.
it, there is this a percentage of people like that. I don't know how many, uh, and maybe that's they're trying to compare. Okay, we don't see any Irish people living on that condition, right?
Yeah.
So in that point of view, yeah, it's way better. But Brazil is it's too extreme. It's a very extreme situation. It's
Definitely.
it's like the worst scenario in uh, of a family living in a rural area without any condition, no water, no electricity, uh, dangers. You know, everything negative living there. Like there's nothing else if the government doesn't look at them and try to give something so they don't die starving. But
Yeah, no, that's why I just thought it was a really unfair assumption that was based on like basically discredited me as a person. Like that's what I felt like. Basically discredited me. So what I done was is that I used it in my music. It was like, okay, if you perceive me in a way, I'm gonna write a song that perceive in a way, and it's gonna be as controversial as possible to kind of trigger people that think that perception of me is that like I'm gonna make this song. I'm gonna manifest this. I'm gonna take it in on board, and I'm gonna put out as most controversial. That's just getting my point across. That if you try and trigger me with kind of things that you perceive or giving unfair assumptions, that I'm gonna trigger you as much as possible just to kind of annoy you because it doesn't bother me. That's what I try and do with music as well. That's the way I think. And obviously, being from punk rock as well, it's kind of like if you're gonna put us down, we're gonna use it as an advantage. So it's similar to punk rockers.
yeah,
Like none of you
yeah,
can
yeah,
go against me.
yeah. Same concept, I would say.
Yeah,
Behind.
definitely. Nah, but that's why we keep aiming to improve our like situations. Obviously, we're all from like different areas and different backgrounds, and we all have different lives. That's just the way the world should be. That we're all different. We're not all the same. We're in all different forms and society, cultures, nationalities. Like there's good and bad in all factors of society. That's why I see it.
Yeah, we recently have had here last weekend, protests as well in Galway against immigrants. So, who are they? Who are these people uh, protesting on the streets? Are they mostly Irish? Are they? Why are they against? What's the number in Ireland of? Is there like statistics showing? Oh, all right, 90% of people are supportive or are not. Or how, as an immigrant, I would like ask you guys: do you feel like the everyday situation, like something that's okay, this is something, this is racism? Do you feel in your everyday, or something that you don't, it happens but it's not always? How would you
Would you like that answer?
Yeah, look, just going back to what Michael was saying and Wayne was saying about the way people perceive, like, yeah, like you're Irish, you should not like have a hard life or something like that, you know. But you see, that's also based on propaganda, you know, that
yeah,
Europe has built
yeah,
and distributes all over Latin America in this case. So
yeah,
that's also where that kind of thinking comes from, because people might think about these things in that way, but when you relocate here and you actually live here for a couple of years or whatever, like I've been here for a couple of years, that idealization of the Western society is actually makes you realize it's not like what they were saying, you know. And in some aspects might be good, but in generally like it's very different to your country, you know. So I believe it's the same with Irish people when you ask me about this protest. It's actually the propaganda they get, you know, about migrants. And look, unfortunately, here the most affected people is our migrant brothers from the African and Arab Muslim countries, because I rarely will hear something about Latin Americans. You know, they're I will say it's kind of weird because me as migrant or as a refugee, I feel the same, you know, and I feel the pain of these people also as mine, but they might set the difference, you know, in that line where, oh, no, no, but you're migrant or refugee, but you're Latin American, so you're kind of like, okay. But if you're Muslim or African, then it's bad. So you see, it's also about this narrative. It's also this propaganda, you know, that has
yeah,
built, which is unfortunate in both ways. Yes, it is. Um, but it is how it's been built. No, and the other thing is, look, to get to this point that we were saying, it's not from now. It's not from the past 5 years. It has been built from over the years. You know, remember that Ireland is a country that whose economy growth like was within the next 20, the past 20, 25 years. And that's mainly due to the U.S. based companies in this country because of the taxation process they have. So and it works kind of the same in Guatemala, as a third party countries. They need cheap labor. They need so all the migrants and refugees. These people is taking advantage of that in that sense. But on the other side, they use these groups kind of to scare migrants, and I see this, and I feel very, very related to this situation because the biggest diasporas that we have in Central America and Mexico are in the U.S. And in the U.S., that's how it works. It's basically the same. It's almost they produce the illegal, call it illegal because no one is illegal in the world. But let's say illegal migrants, as they call it in the U.S., produce almost $80 billion to the welfare that they're not able to use. And it's the same in Ireland. In Ireland, the process is a little bit more controlled. People might say invested migrants, which happens, yes, because the borders are just there also. So at the end, it's all this type of stuff. The people don't know how really the system works and the country works. So I will say it's the same. It's about a lot of propaganda, but it's also the lack of knowledge about the process. Because if you go and really ask the people in this protest, okay, what you're protesting for, they might tell you about housing and all this stuff, yes, but they don't really know that one of the biggest owners or landlords in this country is the big companies like Airbnb and all those IPA centers. Yes, that's a business also, and we know it. But also that's owned by Irish people. There is a those spheres, the oligarchs and the people that owns all this type of stuff. So it's not really the migrant that works or barely has access to work that is um, in such conditions some of the times or most of the times the one to blame. These big corporations, but of course these big corporations and the corporate media turns the looks to migrants instead of this the roots of the issue. So that's
Yeah.
why when we talk about class collaboration, we talk about yeah, see first the other as an equal, facing the same issues in order to really overcome or get to the roots of these issues. So I will say, look, in my case, I don't really feel attacked most of the times because, like I said, it's unfortunate that it's the Muslim Arab people or the people from the African countries the ones that gets the worst part. Latin America, they might see it more as an exotic thing, which is also bad, but still, it's not as bad as the other people,
I
the other
think I
the
think
other
it's
part
still
of the.
bad. I think it's still bad because as a woman, like I already received like a lot of attacks about teenagers, things like that. They already call me bitch or shorty. This type of thing is not good, and you can feel the fear if you are a woman. Maybe you are a man, and I don't know. But I don't know what you feel about this situation. I tell you, but it's getting like very dangerous sometimes to be in the street. And I don't know, like if I know you're a man, you don't feel the same fear. You can be in the streets like in the night, but whatever. You don't have a bus, you can walk. But me walking like in the night because you need to work. Sometimes you need
Mhm.
to work in the pubs. I don't know, whatever. You need to survive, and it's not because you want to be in the streets. And you coming home, that will happen, and that already happened. Like because you can see in the news that there is a lot of attacks against people, against immigrants. So that's a dangerous thing.
Yeah, look, here
Let's
the
say,
point is everyone's portable as a refugee, as a migrant. That's the point. In the case of what I'm saying that is not as bad is the hate speech that we get as Latin Americans, as the Arabs and Muslims and African countries. The same here. Look, Ireland seems to be very gay friendly, and as a gay man here, I don't feel safe. I get like Gigi said, the same racial and homophobic slurs in the street, you know, and also this kind of discrimination towards the hegemonic
Yeah.
homosexuals, let's say, or LGBTQ community towards the migrant LGBTQ community. So yeah, like Gigi said, so but all these things adds, you see, all these things adds to a bigger picture, which is the real or true enemies of who's provoking these situations to happen. And like Gigi said, it's very important to see. I think as Latin Americans, we can relate and see that it's very unfortunate to see at such a young age the kids engaging in this kind of like gang style life, because that's where we come from too, the gangs in Latin America, and it's an issue, basically because as a society we have failed to these children,
Yeah.
because they don't find the sense of belonging in their families, in their society, schools, and they cannot engage in other type of activities. So it's very sad to see that happening also. Like Gigi said, quite the opposite. You will get these kids throwing rocks or slurs to you. So I think it's stuff that we can work also. And look, no system is perfect. No legislation is perfect. No country is perfect. But we can take advantage of this um, exchange, intercultural exchange that we
Yeah.
can have in order to solve or at least try, you know, to have a better, more harmony life when it comes to all these topics.
Totally, man. Totally agree. Let me. You live in Dublin, right?
Yeah.
You mentioned about the LGBT. You think Dublin is not a gay friendly city? Would you say? How is your experience on that side? It's good to share because it's something that's part of.
Okay,
No,
maybe. Okay, maybe I can say different, a little bit different. Like, I'm from Honduras, and in Honduras, the abortion is illegal, but in Ireland, it's human rights. Okay. I already speak with some persons, like sometimes Irish, and they say, like, oh no, I am against that. I hope Ireland, they don't do that. They are killing the children, things like that. And I say that, but you know that these human rights, like, it's a human for women. It's a human right, sorry, for humans. It's like people that try to discriminate and say, like, I don't like that in Ireland, they're doing bad. It's like maybe probably it's the same people that are doing this type of discourse against the immigration because they don't know about human rights, the diversity of the community, the diversity in the world. Not everybody needs to be the same type of color. Not everybody needs to have the same decisions or the same opinions, but at least you need to respect the human rights of others. Like if you want to be gay, hey, that's good for me. If you want to abort, you are a woman, you want to abort, okay. That doesn't mean I am agreed that you need to do it. I think it's not a good. Sometimes it's not a very easy decision to take for a woman. No, I think not every woman is gonna say, oh yes, this year I will have an abortion, next year other. It's not like that. It's a difficult decision, I think, and
Okay.
it's a human right that a woman needs to have. Like in my country, unfortunately, we don't have that human right. I am happy that in Ireland you have this human right. Also, in my country, I don't have the human right of about gay friendly. Like in Ireland, I like Ireland because it's gay friendly. But with people of the community diversity don't have human rights in my country, and it's also a very difficult. You can find a lot of problems, violence against women, about people of the diversity, and you can also find people in here like even though you have politics publics that allow that human rights here in Ireland, you can find some people that is against that type of things and can make a lot of information, misinformation, and saying a lot of hate against that. Like sometimes people don't want to respect the diversity in the world.
Got it.
Like Ireland is a very, very, very broken system. Like I talk to Wayne all the time about like the thing is that the way all these kids are running amok in Ireland and all that kind of stuff is because we have a history of the church doing many things to children. So that's why them things have kind of, they're very strict on that. They're very strict on protecting the children, and then you can't really kind of, it's very, very hard to kind of maneuver around that because of all the bad stuff that's happened in Ireland over the years and the way that they were treating children. And even in the schools, like the way they were treating people of like disabilities, the way they were treating people of homosexuality and stuff like that, the way that they were kind of using religion as a weapon to say that you're not right, or whilst saying that, whilst doing bad stuff. So a lot of that is kind of intertwined in Irish society, and like invasions as well is another one. So that's where the understanding, and a lot of people that have talked to it that are from different countries don't understand very well like Ireland's past history and why a lot of people are very kind of because we're very new. Like I've said this multiple times to many people that we're very, very new to multiculturalism. Like Ireland is very, very new. We've only recently got a wave in the 90s. That's when the immigration came in, and then in the early 2000s, and then I'd say 2010 is when we got like big populations of immigrants into Ireland, when all the big companies like Google, Amazon, Facebook, Twitter, you know. So we're very, very new to it. That's where the understanding part is that we're still very intertwined with trauma of past, and we're still trying to figure out. But I know that it's just hard, but that's where that part of the understanding of why certain things are in certain ways and why the systems are broken, why government officials and stuff don't deal with the issues is because there's a certain like propaganda around, you know. But they'd look like a lot of governments love to see that two communities colliding with each other all the time, because then the blame is not on them, the blame is on the two. It's convenient for them, you know. It's convenient for them, but like that's it as well. And then there's perpetrators on both sides, whether you're extreme left or extreme right. There's perpetrators on both sides, and I think that's the understanding that people forget about, that there's perpetrators and bad people that are getting away and manipulating and exploiting systems on both sides.
Totally. How about the new generation of kids? Are they aware? You think, are they more like, you know, our generation would be more involved politically with things, what's going on with our society? Well, how about the new generation, like 15, 20 years old kids?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that you're starting to see, even when you go around, that a lot of people are you'll have second generations that are from Africa, third generations that are from Africa origins as well. They're born in Ireland. The same way, like you'll have Polish, Slovakians, you'll have people from France, Germany that are born in Ireland. So, like, the new generation is going to be very different from the older generation. It's going to be more culturally aware. And the thing is, as well, is that I always say this because this organization needs to be here in place for second generation Latin Americans, because I have a lot of friends that have like 3, 4 kids that are like Brazilian Irish, and they need to kind of connect with both communities to kind of understand themselves. And this is what this organization should be about, that we should be aiming to promote and help the kids understand their culture, but also understand that they're Irish as well. And that's why I think it's like they're not like a lot of places aren't doing that. They're not doing that kind of like, you need to understand you're Irish, and you need to understand that you're from a different country as well, and you need to understand this is what you are. And I think that's what the generations are going to learn in the future. There's not going to be as much hatred because people allow kind of interlink. As the same with Brazil, like the same with Honduras, the same with Guatemala, the same with Mexico. There's a lot of different communities that are very, very different from each other, but like they integrate. And I think like Brazil is very, very fastly integrated with all different communities, so you have different places.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of community that you're looking at. Basically, essentially, what Ireland would be is like what Brazil is now, where you have many different communities, what you have in Guatemala, what you have in Honduras, what you have in Colombia and other places. Now, many different communities are like second, third generation, fourth generation. So that's what's going to happen in the future.
I think discrimination is a very it's a problem worldwide.
It is a problem.
It's a problem worldwide, because sometimes people think that the place that you came is not good because it's different from the other society. The cultures, the the culture, the things that you normally do daily in your country is different than in other countries. Sometimes people of other countries that they have a better life, for say like that, they say, oh, but I think it's not correct how that is working in your country. Like, and never, probably they never been there or things like that. But I think every society is it's okay. We are part of the world. We are diverse. We have different types of different type of things also. So, and this is the thing, the Latin America Solidarity Center is trying to share, it's trying to make this information to connect with other stories, other peoples, and show that in the world, or we are different and we are part, but everybody is part of the same world. Like all of us are humans.
Okay.
Yes. And there's the things we need to try and we need to live, and learn about this.
Nice. Would be nice to know what brings you guys to Ireland. So you're an Irish, right? You're
They're both Irish.
Yeah.
Very Irish,
Yeah.
Born
Yeah.
and bred Irishman.
yeah.
But
So,
a lot of my historical roots would
My
be
mom
like
lives in
France,
Colonia.
Germany, and England as well. So a lot of my kind of like great granddad would be like from England or be from France or Germany, or my name origins would come from France. But being because like my family history is Anglo-Saxon, and a lot of like the origins of my name is kind of tied into Sheffield, no, Yorkshire in England. So a lot of my family history would be very much like Irish English. Like my great granddad met like an Irish woman that was very like pro nationalist for the Irish, and her whole family was like that. And he was fighting for the English army, and it's very weird because one family had to choose the other, and one was Protestant, one was like Catholic. So there was a lot of that. So it's kind of like my family history is very delved into the immigration as well. So that's where kind of like you can't be 100% Irish, you can't be 100% anything these days
oh,
because we come from so many places across the world.
yeah, totally.
How about yourself?
Well, like, I'm from Guatemala, and basically what made me, I had to relocate to Ireland because I was very involved in social justice in Guatemala as a student leader at university and union trade leader also. So then situations started getting a little bit dangerous. So a lot of us had to flew into exile and basically relocated to Ireland in exile. It's been 2 years almost. So I'm a refugee here, and same, I'll be like studying here, social work, getting involved, as much as I can with the LGBTQ community, the LASC community, to support these communities both in English and Spanish, and just try to successfully merge here. But that's what brought me to our
Nice. So
Gigi. When you
Well,
talk about your story.
Well, but yeah, basically just, I don't know, Irish with Scottish heritage somewhere down the line. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I know there's a few other topics there brought up. Honestly, I can have my little opinion on. But one would be like, let's say they're teenagers, and let's say you might there's shame, discrimination, or trauma. I can tell you for a fact, if it was all Irish there, they're still doing the same thing.
Yeah, that's actually true.
What they do is they pick someone. It could be like a good group of Irish people won't mind. They'll pick one of them. It'll be the nail that sticks out gets hammered.
That's
So
true, actually.
I wouldn't take it too personally. Like, it's easy for me to say,
Yeah.
but like in terms of, because we were talking about this last night,
We were talking about this.
like Garda stopping us going up in Tala. So you're just walking down with your tracksuit on, you look dodgy.
Yeah.
And they just pull over and start searching you. You know what I mean? It's like, I get the fact it's like, oh, they pull me over because I look like that. You know what I mean? Even though we're all white in the sense of where, let's say in that area, they just pick you out because you look dodgy.
Yep.
Well, I do see obviously like it can be discrimination, it can be that as well. But I go in the sense of I don't have an excuse for that. In a sense, you know, I don't have. It's just like I just look dodgy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's like a thing where you go, look. I don't know. Only like a thing is if you can let that go, it'll be better for you. In a sense,
but we are agreeing that that is a problem that we need to solve because that is not normal in the society. Like, of course, you can be Irish and you know, because I already saw the guys like doing things against others, like Irish also. I mean, it's like a problem, you know. Like we need to solve that, but we need like a society to solve this thing because that cannot be
So
happening.
like you said, that have happened even before migration, you know, migration came to Ireland, like I mean, from different diasporas. And the British were doing the same to the Irish. That was always getting, there's always, going to be a motive, you know, for,
But that's true. But that's true. Like as I was saying, there's so many different stories, cultures, and everything's kind of we're all in the same interlink, should I say? But it's like the story of Ashley Murphy.
What's the name again?
Ashley Murphy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the story was that she was attacked, and that's the kind of things that a lot of Irish people are worried about. That people that are under protection of the Asylum Act or whatever. Is that there is bad people that are coming in, that are mixing in with good people that are in the asylum seeking refugees, where they're getting mixed up and they're like, oh, they're all the same, they're coming, because there's many nice people, such as Jorge, that is in the asylum seeking process. But there's also bad people that are mixing in, and it's also dangerous to people that are asylum seekers as well, because you can have people that are like really bad people coming into the asylum applications that are taking advantage of asylum seekers as well and refugees, which is making it incredibly dangerous because there's not many background checks about them, which they could be like part of the human trafficking rings and stuff, and that's where the problem is happening because you're putting asylum seekers in danger, but you're also putting local people in danger, and it's just like, where does it end? Because it's like we're both blaming sides, and we're not looking at there's actually bad people within the Irish community that are doing major damage. And now we're just like, we're going to turn a blind eye because all these immigrants are coming in and destroying our community. But it's not like that. It's like really extremely bad people are coming and destroying people's houses and terrorizing local people that are like Irish drug dealers and whatever, destroying families and selling to their community. And now we're trying to turn a blind eye and say, they don't exist because now we have people that are a part of the asylum seeking process that are dangerous. But it's like the two sides are like both bad, but it's like they're mixing in with good people, and then it's like you're blaming the whole community rather than singular individual to begin, you know?
Totally.
That's the thing that's happening.
And that's the thing also, you know, what you're saying is not only that they're mixing them up, but also in the type of tense or situations they're at the moment, it's also not the best, you know. So always that gets the worst of anyone, you know. So it's just a mix of everything, you know, the situation, the people, and the political speech that is position also regarding this issue. So I believe that's what we have to basically fight back with that misinformation, you know, and the agendas and propaganda that is pushed not only to the society, but especially for the new generations, you know, so they can also have information from both sides and for a more critical thinking, you know, and get a better perspective of what's the big picture that is going on in the country.
Definitely.
That's what is missing on society, critical thinking. People need more of that.
That's it. It's happening all over the world. Even like in America, you see what's happening in America right now. A lot of people are fleeing to America from Latin America. There's like so many things that are happening. But I was only talking to someone there yesterday because I think it's incredibly like dangerous for the future of Latin America because now the super mega prisons that you have in El Salvador, like that's gonna be incredibly dangerous in the future if they break out. So imagine you put the most violent kind of people into a prison that are a part of the gangs in Latin America that are like that's like gonna cause a massive problem, and there's already massive problems within Latin America. Like I've been doing research about many of the different countries, like the likes of, and I've done a lot about Brazil, but the likes of Venezuela's on rest, the likes of Colombia's on rest, Ecuador, Argentina, Paraguay, Chile. There's so many different things, and they all have different kind of political economics that
Yeah,
are happening at the moment.
yeah,
But if you put a situation where you're going to have like hundreds of really angry gang members in a prison, and then they break out, like I think El Salvador will be in trouble in the future if that happens. I know it's kind of like, oh, it looks good on the surface, but I think it could spring over, and especially since immigration is like massive in America as well. That's like it's getting very out of control at the moment in many different places around the world. Like,
yeah. What do you think about Trump's action in terms against immigration?
I can't stand Trump in fairness. What about you?
I like United States. I want to visit more, but right now I think it's not a good idea because I saw a lot of hate against the Latinos and a lot of things that is happening in the politics public that he is changing that or using the power, the discrimination, also the discourse that the
Yeah,
president sometimes use is not good because I think the world sometimes is dominated for people that is not don't want to share um, don't want to share the good actions. For example, like the world is for everybody. We need to build a society with the people. Not only my opinion, like it's for the things that we're saying.
Yeah, building
Yeah,
for the future rather than just focusing
Uh-huh.
on the past.
yeah, and usually, like when you see Trump's administration, it's also falling apart. The promises from campaign, he promised no more wars, and first thing he did was to bomb Iran. I'm sorry, and with all this, again, we come again to propaganda that has been said about migration from Latin America, and the Americas is actually quite hard to position this speech because it's basically the Americans' native land, from all the indigenous
Yes,
people.
that's
So
so
you
true.
cannot use the same hate speech that you use in Europe, saying go back to Africa, go back to, India or whatever, And the Americas is like it doesn't really make sense. We're native to the land, basically, and somehow they're the intruders, the invaders, that have been doing this to the countries. When you see the big picture again, it's also about how this demonizing our countries with the cartels, the drugs, the failed war on drugs, position this kind of speech that they need to do something and that the criminals are Latin Americans, they're deporting, when that's not true. There is, of course, some of them might have criminal records because we cannot deny that. So that's true, yes. But also we have to think about on the gangs and on the lost war on drugs that it was sent to the what we call the North Triangle in Central America, which is Guatemala, El Salvador, and Honduras, and how these gangs were born as a counter-revolutionary process and movement, from the U.S. in the 90s. After in the case of Guatemala in 1954, the coup against Jacobo Arbenz Guzman and the agrarian reform to give the land back to peasants and indigenous people failed to the 60s, where Efraín Guzmán dictatorship took over the country, and sorry, in the 80s, and perpetrated the Mayan genocide, a war that lasted 40 years. The war in El Salvador also, and all the mass murders that happened there for over 11 years, same as in Honduras. Then we have also Nicaragua with the Contras. So all this guerrilla movement is what the U.S. was so afraid of. So they have to fund these gangs. And when you see who's the biggest gun supplier to the cartel, it's the U.S. So where's really that speech about the drug war on our countries comes from is just the U.S. We have never seen, let's say, a big cartel or a big narco from the U.S. or Europe being caught, and that's because the DAA, the CIA, they're the ones, you know.
Yeah, the
It's
DEA
just
does it.
them themselves. So these narratives, you know, also that they try to build about how democracy works in the U.S. is so weird. You can ask you as a Latin American, you know this also. We don't really believe in the U.S. democracy, and we do see a more real picture about how this works with the two-system party, which is, look, if we just put in context, you can check the numbers, but Obama deported way more people to
Yeah,
Guatemala than
Yeah.
Trump has deported now. So it's also this narrative, you know, that people build around, which is convenient at the moment, at the geopolitical moment. Same with the prisons at El Salvador, you know, that's a very nice topic because people might think it's still about being far right, far left, but that the economy is also not able to explain these situations anymore. So it's more about geopolitics and how you take a stand on the resources, basically. You know, we all know it's about resources. We all know who the big countries are at the moment and what's the game, you know. And it's all about these resources for technology and the military industry complex that they have built their economy on too. So yeah.
totally. Yeah, you're very special words from you. You're teaching a lot of people watching us. Good
Well,
knowledge.
it's just good, you know, to have the opportunity also to discuss about these topics because it might sound like, you know, you want to sound, oh, use this type of words or whatever, but unfortunately, that's the truth. That's what's happening. And until we really understand that, how these people want our resources, how the people put, you know, people against people, like with the protests in Ireland, like with the protests in Guatemala, like with the people, the migrants fighting ICE agents in the U.S. It's just the same, you know. It's because it's how the
Yeah,
system is built, and they use the same,
Template.
the same, yeah, the same ways to do these things. So it's just it's, we're not we can relate to these forms to do these things also.
totally.
So yeah.
See, you understand this as well because he turned to the veganism as well. Is that we're like humans are the most dangerous animals in the world that we conquer and then we destroy everything that's fast. The same with animals. We're treating animals as inhumane. Like we don't see a dog like the way we see a cow or the way we see a cat.
Mm.
Like as we
Yeah,
see a fish. You know. So that's the way kind of
Yeah, yeah.
that's kind of the way society is gone. You know. It's just like we don't see the human aspect of it anymore. That we destroy everything, we
Right.
conquer, we fight
yeah,
against each other as much as possible. It's like, listen, I have two rocks here. I have two plates of food, but I'm starving. So you're over there starving. I'm not going to give you this because, well, it's mine.
yeah.
You know. So that's kind of like what it is. It's conquer and divide. The more you
It's
have, and then you divide the population, give them scraps or whatever. You know, just kind of live off. You know. So that's the way it really is. Like.
totally. I related to that. Uh, like nobody is against animal cruelty. If I ask anybody, "Hey, are you against animal cruelty?" Everybody would be like, "Oh no, we gotta respect animals." Blah blah blah.
Mm.
But when it comes to our day-to-day actions, we are there eating a beef which in the industry those animals are suffering. So if you're really
Yeah.
against suffering, you shouldn't be eating this. That's the vegan concept,
Yeah.
but
Exactly.
it kind of relates to other topics as well. You know how society acts, even voting to a politic that is obvious uh, uh, corrupted, but they keep voting to those same people. You're showing evidence that this guy uh, took money off education and for something else, and then after a few years, this guy is trying to get votes, and the person votes to this guy again. So you know, people doesn't work with logic, I think, man. You show the
Nah,
evidence, all the things, and don't change.
surely, so what's that? I can't say his name because I'll end up getting blamed for something soon or whatever. But the politician. You know the politician in Ireland. He got recently lambasted all over online because of these actions that didn't help the people very much when it came to the children and scoliosis treatment and stuff. So a lot of that is kind of like, yeah, politicians are very, very, very different. They know the way to handle these pressures, and they like to say that they listen to people, but they do not listen to people.
Double speak.
They just double speak, or they put it back on you. You know, it's like, say you said, "Oh, you've done something wrong," and they'd be like, "Oh, what do you mean wrong? Oh, look at that over there," or like, so it's kind of like the deflect answering the question. They'd be like, "Oh, do you not know that there's a housing crisis? Oh, we just built a number of houses there. We put people in them." So it's like, oh, people can't afford food anymore, but like, oh, we give you money to survive, or oh,
Yeah,
the industry's falling apart. Oh, we just gave money to them to help them sustain the business. So it's like that, you know. It's kind of like deflecting, saying there's nothing.
Every question.
They have a queue. Yeah, that's what they're trained to do. This it's like the way in acting you're trained to answer certain questions when you're doing interviews and you're doing media appearances or whatever. So you never like you constantly kind of deflect to get away from difficult or controversial answers or controversial questions or give your opinion. Because the way it is as well is that it depends on money as well. It depends on finances. So they're given incentives. So they have a team around them. So if say they have a question they don't want to answer, they turn to their PR team. The PR team come in. Oh, this is what you want to say. This is the little what we have written down. This is what you want to say. So they try and say things without saying things. You know,
yeah,
crazy.
totally, man. Uh, we are getting close 1 hour, but we actually over an hour, but it's totally fine. I was gonna ask you if you guys want to share anything happening at the moment that you guys are working at. Feel
Yeah,
free to
sure.
Sure.
share.
So,
If it's a personal thing, if it's a group thing, feel free to let
sure.
us.
I'll do it in Spanish and English so people can, you know, have both
Okay.
information.
Yeah, no problem.
So we on the 22nd of August will be having a workshop with Rosa, which is a feminist LGBTQ movement. We'll be handling this online also, so you can check the information on our social media. You can go and look LASC underscore Ireland. You can go through the media there on Instagram and check information. And we'll be looking forward also to look for the independence activities for Central America, Mexico, and Chile, which is for Central America, 15th September, and then for Chile will be on the 18th and 19th, Mexico on the 16th. So there's some other activities that we're working on for these days also. Some of them are already posted on our social media, and for some others you can double check the information. Para quienes nos están viendo, pueden estar pendientes de nuestras redes sociales. En Instagram aparecemos como @las_Ireland. Estamos trabajando en un taller el próximo 22 de agosto, bueno, dependiendo cuando estén viendo el podcast. Estén pendientes de nuestras redes sociales, cualquier duda, pregunta, estamos disponibles para poder resolverlas también. Y luego también las actividades de independencia, las fiestas patrias, el 15 de septiembre para Centroamérica, el 16 de septiembre para México y el 18-19 de septiembre para las actividades de independencia de Chile. Hay diversos eventos en los cuales nosotros vamos a estar participando también, apoyando estos eventos. Estén pendientes a las redes sociales y los invitamos pues también a que nos conozcan, que nos platiquen y que estén pendientes de las redes sociales. Thank you. Gracias.
Gracias. Muy bien. How about you, bro? Anything?
Myself, so at the moment I'm dealing with many different projects, but as you know yourself, I'm a part of a rap group, the Irish Latin Exchange. I'm working with many people from Latin America, starting in Latin America. So last year I was on an album with a lot of people that are like exiles from Venezuela, and it was like a rap album. I was the only like Irish person on the album, you know. So it was a really good privilege. So I'm going to keep doing my journey, reach out to many different Latin Americans around Europe as well, work with different organizations in England, Spain, Portugal in the future, work with Brazilian organizations as well, and just continue to grow with that. And then I was trying to put, so I also have my show as well with my friend Doug Escobar, my right hand man, Qatar Crack. So basically what we're doing at the moment is we're doing like a studio session that we do like a talk talking about their journey as artists, immigrants, what they've changed in Ireland, how they started their career as artists. So that's what we've been doing at the moment. Qatar Crack, we're on our sixth episode. So we keep working on that, bringing different artists from different countries, talking about the scene, talking about raising awareness for different languages within the Irish hip hop scene. So that's been my main focus, is to try and incorporate like language as a big, like massive kind of future for the Irish hip hop scene. So yeah, I'm constantly working, but it's difficult, but it works.
Awesome, bro. Nice. How about you?
No, I'm only helping out with the documentary, doing the camera work,
Nice.
so that's really it. But yourself?
Yeah, me, I want to say that I met this great artist from Brazil, Quara Music. Don't know if you know her. I met her in Sarau Session. So this Sarau Session is a festival that have like a 4 sessions, I think, in Ireland already. Like
Yeah.
have been doing like in the last 4 years, one time a year. And so I met this girl there, and she invited me to make a song with her, and I'm very happy and excited to uh, join this activity and this new project, artistic project that I will run with her. We're talking about to that through our art, we want to give happiness to people. We want to share this type of emotions, these feelings, about happiness, joyful. So I think you need to be looking about our new things that we're gonna do, and you're gonna be happy and joyful hearing our music. That's important.
Awesome.
And
How about the documentary? Is there something? Are you guys planning to release in somewhere, some streaming or online?
So essentially, we're doing the documentary for the Silence of the Conference in September. So, oh, we never mentioned Maria Torres. So Maria Torres is a human rights lawyer. She's from Peru. She's indigenous, and she works on helping people of the indigenous community. She's working in Ireland now. She recently graduated from the UCC in Cork. So she's a very bright mind. She's also part of the organisation. She's one of the members of the executive committee along with Jorge and obviously Gisele. So we're just working towards building a better future for the organisation. Hopefully, fingers crossed that we keep continuing growth. And yeah, so Maria Torres put a petition in for the Silas thing, and she done like a whole kind of research on it. She done it for like a couple of months, and it's just about the formality of getting it down. So I think it's going to be shown. I think she said it's going to be shown. Is it Mexico?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be shown in Mexico, and it's going to be online for people to watch. And then in the
Nice.
future, hopefully, we can build off this project. We get right edited properly. Then we can aim for a bigger project, because I think for the future of Latin Americans in Ireland, that there should be more kind of supports. There should be more fundamental rights in terms of housing, because I know we already have problems with housing, but there doesn't seem like there's many supports for Latin Americans in crisis in Ireland, and I think there should be a crisis support team. There should be a mental health support team specifically now for. But I know there is, but for migrants, but a lot of people speak Spanish and Portuguese, and maybe they're not too good at English, so they need to have mental health supports where they can kind of say go to the government and be like, oh, I'm having really problems with my job, I'm getting kicked out of my house, I don't speak great English, I need help, because
Yeah.
it's very expensive. It's very expensive to find a psychiatrist and a psychologist, and I know a lot of them do online, like, but it's like they should be hiring people to come in and help with them specific issues with people that speak Spanish and Portuguese and other languages as well.
Yeah.
But it's a difficult journey, but I think as the organisation needs to highlight that for the future, because there is a lot of Latin Americans in this country that deserve that voice to be heard and supported. So that's what the documentary is kind of aiming for. And if we try and get bigger things and eventually goes anywhere, that we aim for bigger and better, hopefully, to address these things.
Awesome. I wish good luck on the day of releasing that. I want to watch whenever I can. Let me know whenever it's available. If is there websites we can even it's gonna be like available for download or to watch or for or paying.
Yeah, like the thing is we have the website. It hasn't been updated in a while, but we have the LASC website. You can actually look it up if you type LASC in, and it comes onto the homepage. And if anyone wants to join the organization, just drop a message in Instagram as well, because we love to incorporate new people into the organization, and we want to build the organization, as we said. The more people from different countries, the bigger perspectives. We're working with a very small team at the moment, but the team is very well managed in terms of people have different skill sets. Like, I'm an artist, I deal with them type of things. Jorge deals with like asylum seekers, LGBT plus. Giselle's also an artist, but she deals with like feminists and females and female empowerment. And then Maria deals with indigenous and deals with the more academia. So the more voices, the better for the organization, the better the better future. So it will be on the LASC website. We just need to update it just a little bit, just to find it
cool,
easier access. And also, like, it's not like if anyone wants to kind of help the organization and donate or whatever, I'd be much obliged, because it's hard now. It's hard right now, but we just keep going.
Yeah, that's it, bro. Thanks for your time. I'm appreciate the time,
Thank you.
all the knowledge of you guys, sharing with Manada podcast. We keep in touch, right? Whenever you guys have something new, I'm happy to do a new episode talking about the projects and what's going on with the group or individually. I'm open to. Yeah, so I will play the intro with the final song. Don't need to turn it off. I will go back to you. Okay.
Sure. Okay.
Thanks.
Cheers.
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 Lunch.
Now it's time to dance.
OMG, me too. I was in that.
I know, it's so close to the chair. I was like,
Oh,
I was like,